enough into comparisons to Enzo's and Milos's. But here we go, jumping into map 1. So Penta immediately starting with open area and kitchen. Penta's lineup right now is a bit of a mismatch. It's important to note that they have absolutely no smoke when they do this. They favored it out for a dock in a vigil. So one of those two operators were the switch up for the smoke. It's most likely the dock because most teams don't run a dock these days. Dock isn't a meta pick. And it looks like Penta is aiming to do a kitchen side defense and turn the A bomb site into a kill box. Immediately, I can say that this is not an original strategy. I have seen this before, done by other teams. And this is Penta's take on it. And moving into how Liquid looks at. Yeah, Feral, yeah. And Liquid looking into the starting strat. So straight away they have Jackal and they have Lion and they have a oh my god, why have I just lost all of my game knowledge? 2 seconds. Wow, I'd not played the game in 1 day and holy fuck, this is what happens. Either way, Ying, beg pardon, that's the operator. So they have what is considered as 3 quote-quote strong meta-based operators. Jackal getting a lot of boost depending on what kind of map he plays on. Jackal brought on Bank is extremely strong. Kanto gets an entry pick onto the Nesk. He was playing aggressively towards the elevators, gets a free pick, and that's a pretty strong start because that's the main fragger from Liquid off the board. But they still have the Jackal, the Lion, and the Ying. So Jackal and Lion work very strong together in tandem because you can Jackal someone's footprints, Lion scan them if they're close enough to you, and then rush them down with the Ying and with the Ash. So right now, Penta have a huge advantage with their main entry fragger gone from Liquid. A good pickup from Kanto in the beginning first few seconds of the round is going to slow Liquid down because now Liquid has to drone more. Originally, Liquid probably had the Jackal and Lion doing a lot of the roam clearing because of their abilities, but now that Penta have gotten that first pick, they're going to have to drone things a little bit more cautiously, and the Valkyrie cameras from Goga is going to give them a lot of information as they start to push through the reception area that a lot of teams decide to call Trump for some reason. I don't know why. Teams call that room Trump. Because apparently there's a picture of a man that looks like Trump in there. It doesn't. But either way. So right now they're going to push 2 or 3 people up here. Goga goes for the kill. He tries to make an aggressive play off of the Lion scan, which is typically the correct thing to do, but it doesn't work out as he's unable to land his shots. The MPX is a bit of a pea shooter in those kind of ranges, and it's going to lose to Lion's gun. Technically, both of those guns are on equal footing in terms of time to kill. Both of them having very high time to kill, beg pardon, I always get those two confused, but regardless, Penta trades 2 kills for 1 kill, so that's Lion off the board for the Valkyrie, who still had a Nitro in her pocket, and Pengu, which is Vigil, which is a time waster because of the gadget. Now, it looks like Liquid aren't quite sure of what's going on or what's happening here. Kanto uses an angle above the reinforcements there to stay onto the main stairs. You'd be surprised that angle's been around since the earlier seasons, and ACOG outduels Eunice across the room. You're not supposed to win that. Kanto gets a double kill on the entry, but Habana gets the trade-off and Kanto gets the refrag on top of that. So Kanto's positioning was exceptionally strong in that round. Managed to pick off, I think it was like 4 or 5 players on that round just because he had superior positioning within the bomb site. And that allows him to constantly refrag and trade his teammates, which is what was very important coming into the final stages of that round. If Kanto had mispositioned himself, then they would have most likely lost that round to Penta. So, to recap, Kanto gets an early kill, which gives them the initial advantage. The Lion scan comes out up towards the top reception room, and 2 players try and make an aggressive play off of the initial countdown of the Lion scan, which in most cases is the correct thing to do because you're going to reposition yourself just in case there's a drone looking at you. However, both players lose their aim duels, resulting in a 2-4 non-trade, but is then suddenly traded back a few seconds later, so it was on an initial trade to get it back to the original 3 versus 3 equal footing lineup. Then an Execute comes onto the bomb site, and that allows Kanto to favorably trade his teammates away, leaving himself the last man standing, but also the last man alive for his team, winning the round. Kanto picking up 4k there, Eunice got 1 on the entry. Without Eunice's entry pick, they probably wouldn't have won that counter execution, but either way, here we go. Interesting placement for a mirror window inside of the garage facing into the red hallway. This isn't very common, it's typically seen the opposite way around, but the way that it's placed right there, the only reason I could say it being there is they're most likely going to open up the wall in red, and they can use that angle from behind the mirror window to see towards the default plant spot where Thermite would normally open the wall inside of the server room. As far as I can see, we have 1 or 2 roamers coming out for Liquid. That is Nesk, and I'd assume Bullet would be roaming as well on the Vigil. The other 3 are more typically site players, however I've seen silly things like roaming mirrors before to varying degrees of success. Kanto's job right here is to make sure no one rotates through the archives. This is a very key position in holding down border, depending on how you want to clear things. Pengu's caught someone out on a drone, and he's going to ping him too to reveal the position to Fabian, and Fabian surprisingly is the one entry fragging as Pengu gets a second frag on Bullet, who tries to make an aggressive flank play onto Fabian, knowing Fabian is resultingly low of his firefight, and that's the roamers off the board pretty much immediately. Zig here is holding down the garage because that mirror window is very important, and Sexy Cake is trying to make an aggressive play. Now, when you're in a 3 versus 5, you need to try and get the advantage back, or at least try and trade favorably and get some free picks if possible. Sexy Cake, if I'm him right now, the only thing he can really do is play aggressively on these stairs, as his life is very important when it comes to the final few seconds of the round. But if the round doesn't get to those final few seconds, then there's no point. Pengu's droning out the garage, because this is something Pengu has typically done a lot. If you watch any Penta VOD games on Bank, Pengu loves to push the garage later on into the round. And that's going to distract Zig, who's playing the Echo, who is a plant denier, which is very important coming into the later stages of this round, as it kind of holds the same role as Smoke, and Zig gets the frag onto Fabian, but is traded immediately by Pengu, so they went for a 2-for-1 trade because they couldn't get Garage for free. So they decided to trade for it. It's a very good trade because now it moves it into a 2 versus 4, and it's much less favorable that Liquid wins a 2 versus 4 than a 3 versus 5. Fabian off the board isn't a big deal. Fabian's gadget strength comes out from his anti-bandit device and anti-mirror window device, the shock drone. However, losing the Echo for that trade is favorable because, hey, at the end of the day, I'd much rather have smoke grenades and a Nitro than an Echo device. Nitro comes out, doesn't find anything at all. PSK is now in a 1 versus 4, and at the end of this round, you know, he's going to get maybe a couple of kills at most, but Penta knows how to play this properly. The only way that he wins this round is if they give him individual kills, one versus 1s, and they don't give him that. It's very important that when you're in these clutch situations as the 1 player versus 3, 4, doesn't matter how many you're against, you need to try and win your 1 versus 1s, and that's the only way you can win those kind of clutches. So you have to find the 1 versus 1s, and that's very important. That takes a lot of analytics and deduction on the spot, and not a lot of players can do that. Not a lot of players are capable of clutching those kind of situations. It requires a lot of thinking in a practical sense, and you see here that Pengu runs wide and Fabian runs close, and that allows them both to not get sprayed down. As one runs far, it draws the aim of Zig, but he smartly repositions and aims for the player who ran close because it's an easier kill, knowing that he can't shoot Pengu behind the car. That's very important when you're entry fragging into a large room, that one player walks through the door and goes wide and the one player comes close, because that allows you to trade and refrag accordingly. If the first player runs in deep and gets a kill and the second player runs in short and gets a kill, that's a 2-for-0 trade, but you can also trade it favorably if the person who runs deep dies and you as the player running short can trade, or vice versa depending on how you entry frag, and that was a textbook example between Pengu and Fabian. So Penta right now holding the basement. They're going to have a couple of roamers right now as the lineup of Liquid is looking to do just a quick server push, but they're not getting this for free as they have a couple of players sticking around inside of the server room. It's a good combination of operators to have in there. The the Valkyrie and the Legion. Legion makes it so shields can't push in there too effectively. They don't have any nitro, so they can be rushed pretty quickly by an aggressive player if they had a little bit of confidence in their aiming. And Nesk, obviously being a Ying, could get in there very simply if he just so desired. No Jaeger on the lineup of Penta, and I'm sure his drone information is feeding that. In fact, there's actually a drone to the rear of Pengu right now in the corner of the server room. There you go, PSK's drone. And it's caught people out as meanwhile Bullet is trying to get into the skylight and try and look for some free kills. There's a Valkyrie camera to his lower right here. He's not going to see it. And they actually go for a Nitro, and it gets Sexy Cake down to about 20-25% HP, which is really strong because that makes him a one-shot at most ranges from an SMG. And here goes Kanto. Kanto finds one. Tap fires away, and that's the high health player down, and all he needs to do is land one bullet on Sexy Cake, and that's how he gets 2 kills in this round. That's very I was going to say very impressive, but it was his impressive positioning and timing more so than his aim. He was in the right place at the right time. He caught out Liquid as they weren't covering everything, as they were putting a lot more of their pressure onto the lower side, pushing the basement directly. As the Lion Scan goes out, he's going to get a double kill as Zig goes in, and he trades it back. Unfortunately, Eunice trades Zig back as well, so he does give his team a little bit of hope coming into this round. It turns it into a 2 versus 5 with a Thermite and a Ying alive. That does give them the clutch factor as long as Ness can make these Candela devices work properly, but they still have all of these kill holes and there's 3 players on site. So it's going to be a showdown, shoot down essentially when this wall gets opened by PSK, because there's physically no way that they can go for a plant in this scenario unless they use Candela devices properly. Get lucky with the flashbangs because it's Goga on smoke. Rushes through, Goga is not flashed, and he downs Nesk, and Eunice goes through with a blind spray, and he manages to down PSK. So that round there was a textbook example of Aroma doing his job correctly. Kanto gets a double kill at the start of the round, whilst the rest of the team denies an early push in through the servers. And Eunice is very fortunate to be in a position to refrag Zig as he takes down 2 members of the Penta lineup. It's very important that as Zig looked up the stairs as he passed the main stairs to go in towards the main lobby of the vault room, he would have killed Eunice because that's where Eunice was playing. But either way, that's just the way the cookie crumbles in this situation. And we move on to the next round. So guys, just doing a quick check, is the quality okay? Can you hear me properly over the voices of the casters? We do have a little bit of game volume on the background because it is interesting for me to hear the casters. It does give me some ideas about what I need to talk about. You see here gets the double kill and gets traded by Eunice on the staircase. Eunice with a quick flick manages to get the headshot on Zig. And there's the flash down through the flash, the spray down through the flashback button. Quality's fine, sound is fine. Fantastic, great guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, one thing that I really disliked with this LAN event is these extremely long pauses between the rounds. I was not a big fan of this, and I voiced my concerns to Ubi that this is too long of a wait. And a lot of the players at the event have spoken that these delays kind of killed momentum in some cases, as it's kind of hard to come back from those kind of rounds. So PSK is Swiss cheesing the wall. That's the technical phrase for it. It basically makes the wall so he shoots the wall open with a long distance shotgun, and that allows him to basically make specific holes in the wall, which denies you the ability to place a thermite charge or Habana charges. So that requires a soft breacher, and Penta right now are not running a soft breacher. So this is a heavy counter to what Penta are running. Now the real question is, will Penta get to the execution phase, and will this Swiss cheese wall actually come into effect? Bullet roaming upstairs alone, I will add, with one single rotation into the janitor's closet. It's going to be interesting to see if he gets caught out. Penta do have an IQ on Eunice, so he's going to be able to spot... Ooh, Zig goes for an aggressive spawn peek. Nah, I'm not quite sure about that one. Fabian gets the kill and on trades most of his health to do so, but Zig should have had Fabian bang to rights there. He really messed up. The low damage coming from that suppressor is going to really screw him over in the long run as the rest of the team starts to repel onto the walls and up towards the skylight. Eunice is in very quickly because obviously they want this kill, and he's going to spot the device out immediately and see his feet through the drone hole. Some tippy taps onto Bullet's feet, so they're going to drop him down about 25% HP, and now he's going to do a bit of a runner as he's being hunted by Penta, and he's completely alone when he's doing this roaming. He has no support, no one helping him. Bullet is completely alone and has to try and clutch this himself as the windows, the walls around him are blowing open wide. And this is Penta's signature roaming clear. They put a lot of players in positions to keep roamer clearing you as Fabian keeps droning the players forward room by room. That's important to note. Liquid do have a Valkyrie as well, so the cameras are going to get hacked. And Sexy Cake is 1 actually no, that's a bug. That's a visual bug. Sexy Cake is 100% HP. Bug on the... It's a bit of a bug, but either way, Penta are going to look for another roamer, and they're going to try and clear these roamers out bit by bit, room by room. This is how Penta clears roamers, and this is slowly becoming the meta of how you clear roamers, because it's very good. Nitro comes out, that's a guaranteed kill, or it's a down at least, but he gets traded by Kanto as he makes an aggressive push onto the other side, and now comes out the team revive, and that's a 3 for 0 trade in Penta's favor, and that's basically going to give them a massive advantage in the round. The round, of course, is not over. Penta can throw this in a multitude of ways. Way number one is Penta tries to force a plant whilst everyone plays passive, and then the diffuser carrier Goga gets nitroed and dies, and Penta runs out of time. That's pretty much the only way Liquid can win this round. There's no way that they can trade frag their way through the round unless Liquid trade 3 kills and then 2 kills. But that's not going to happen, let's face it, as Eunice is now droning the E-Garage, and this is very important. Penta has very good drone usage. They're seldom out of drones. They seldom run out of drones. Their drone usage is very top tier, and this is what keeps them at the top, is that they always have tools for information collection. They never have to push things blindly unless you seriously deny things. Aggressive play that manages to pick off Pengu, and Goga goes down to PSK. Penta slowly starting to throw this round, but PSK does trade himself for that frag on Goga. Kanto trades that player, and a shotgun comes out, and now it's all on Nesk to try and make this clutch, and he's not going to do it because Kanto's there anyway.
Round 4 on the board. Kanto Raketti somehow surviving at the end through the shotgun shot. Will be alive to spray.
I'm starting to wonder if the entire point of the team of Penta is to have 4 people to push into Kanto. At this point, it's just he is just this Venus flytrap.
I'm going to take a sip of my drink because my throat is already going. Fuck's sake.
Do really well on their own. Frag out when they need
to
play the operator roles that they know how to play. You know how to play your strat, just push into it. And they're capitalizing on that.
The thing is, that role of aggressive fragger back in the day used to belong to Pengu, especially on the attack.
And this is another thing as well, guys. Like, to reiterate from my point before from the previous bit of the round, like, this is the problem, is so much downtime between the rounds. Like, I don't know, it doesn't feel good, these delays. Anyway, getting into the next round, so it looks like Penta are going to opt to defend top 4. They do have a mirror and a smoke and a dock as well. Penta running a dock a lot of these rounds. I think it's predominantly so Kanto has something he's comfortable on fragging on.
If they win, I say let Kanto pick up the trophy first at this point. And that's not to denigrate the other guys.
So, obviously, Penta are prepared for this, as previously in the EG game, they managed to find an angle onto this window via the far right window inside of the top floor reception. They opt to castle this one instead, and that's very important because it denies the angle to the player on the specialized mirror window facing towards the parking garage, and that denies players from playing on the parking garage, and that's the main reason why they bring the Doc there. Doc has a good ACOG, he can heal himself if he takes any bit of trade damage, but ultimately he denies players rappelling onto that window selection, and that's very important. It basically forces players to push inside the lobby and clear him out that way, as there is no realistic way to clear out Kanto. Here as shots come out and Zig dies because of it. And the Twitch drone gets it, and it's a 1-for-1 trade. It's like a 1-for-1 trade almost. Zig for a mirror window. That window does now allow them to, that window being open now allows them to repel. But Kanto has trapped himself inside of the elevator, and I'm pretty sure Team Liquid are aware of it. So Liquid at this point could go below and clear him out of the elevator by opening up the hatch and shooting him. But I think Eunice is ready for that, and he's going to put some shots down onto Sexy Cake. So Penta obviously have practiced this quite a lot. They've seen the proper positioning of where they need to play. The hatch gets opened by Fabian. That allows an escape from Kanto. Kanto is instead opting to go aggressive, and he's going to pay for it because Nesk is ready for it. And now it's a 1-for-1 trade and a mirror window gone in the trade of 1 minute and a half time wasted. So I would still probably put the favor in Liquid. They still have a lot of their core clearing operators alive. Obviously, Lion being gone is a bit of a problem, but they can pretty much make it work so long as they trade themselves correctly and accordingly on these windows. And through the reception lobby itself, shots come out, and this is another specialized angle from Penta. This angle allows you to see down the staircase, and Fabian getting the pick onto Nesk, and now it's another trade unanswered, or another kill unanswered, I should say, not a trade. Bullet right now needs to make some big plays. If he had a little bit more courage, he could potentially push up that staircase and catch Eunice out of position, but either way, Penga goes down, making an aggressive peek onto Sexy Cake, and Sexy Cake gets the kill. And now it's 40 seconds left, and it's another 1-for-1 trade essentially over a long period of time. Now Eunice is aware that he could potentially be flanked as the feetsies of Fabian are found, and Bullet takes him down. Because Eunice decided to stop holding the angle, the shield is going to work against Eunice, and that's an interesting round, because if Eunice did not look away from that cross towards the spiral stairs, if he did not choose to look down the stairs and protect himself, Fabian would still be alive, and Penta would have most likely won that round because they could have traded properly. Penta had no trading, and you can see here Pengu's explaining something in regards to angles. And it's probably because people fell off of their angles and they were unable to accordingly trade properly. That's what this meta was all about this season. It was just good trading. That's the Lion meta, essentially. That's why it was so heavily favored in the attackers, because you could just basically rush and push, and you had stronger weapons. You had more access to ACOGs. You had better gadgets for doing aggressive plays. So you typically just won more rounds because, hey, if the defender is stood still, scanned, marked, Lion tracked, Jackal tracked, and you have a better gun, then they're not going to win that gunfight.
Yesterday I was talking to Nesk for a brief minute.
And now I've done all my explanation for that previous round, and here we go again, waiting for the next round to begin.
Hits Nesk real hard as he lost 3 times to them in the grand final in 2015.
So anyway, guys, how you guys doing?
Now he's in, he can finally make it through. Now he has to face
Okay, here we go again. Okay, so Liquid opting to defend the Teller's Archives. Pretty common bomb spot, usually picked second most as the spectator, probably Marcio, showing off how well Kanto's playing. And Kanto does deserve a big pat on the back. He played exceptionally well. Now Nesk is trying to look for drones coming through the ATM stores. I don't know whether he found any drones. In the current TTS build, if a drone is dead, the operator's icon grays out at the top during the drone phase. I thought that was a very nice touch. That allows me to shit-talk my teammates when the drone dies during scrims. It's great. Impact Grenade, same place as always. Liquid getting a little bit predictable with that Impact Grenade. Nothing changing in regards to that, but that's probably what they've practiced the most, and I think that's important to know. No windows being open, however, on this northern side of the building, the northern-facing windows. None of these windows being open means it basically denies you the audio cue of someone repelling. So unfortunately, if Penta choose to repel on those windows, Liquid will have absolutely no sound cues until the windows are broken or shot open, which could cause them their deaths, or it could ultimately cause them some kills if they're a little bit cheeky, played a bit aggressive on the windows. But either way, Penta not really changing much in terms of their lineup. A bit of a skirmish goes off between Sexy Cake and Pengu on the windows, with both players losing around 25% HP, and Bullet opting to hold a pixel peek towards the window, and drones come out and the rotation hole is spotted, as well as the Legion. Now, this is going to be very important because it now gives Penta an objective. Penta are the team of pure focus. They will find one player and they will zero him out and kill him, and that's what's made Penta very strong, is that they've isolated players and killed them. Flashbangs going in from Pengu. Basically, the reason why he throws a flashbang into the window is so no one can jump out on him whilst he goes on a drone, and it also masks the sound of him going on his device. Typically, when you play against very aggressive players and you decide to drone on a vaultable window, those players tend to jump out on you. So now we're playing a game of angles, and Bullet finds the angle first on Pengu, and Sexy Cake is still alive up here, and Eunice is making an aggressive play. His IQ, but ironically steps in the goo mine, and he's going to hold the angle for just 1 second because he can't take it out. Fabian manages to find Sexy Cake inside of the meeting room? Inside of the reception, and Eunice makes an aggressive play at the same time that the player repelling does, and this is very important that they make these kind of plays. It was Goga, in fact. Goga peeks from the window at the same time Eunice peeks the rotation hole, and that allows, that sets up, Bullet into an ultimatum, a catch-22. He looks left or he looks right, but it doesn't matter where he looks at. He's not looking at one of the two players and will be punished for it. Kanto, aggressive play, kills Nesk inside of the elevator because he's trapped and Jackal scanned, and that's very important.
It's not something that everybody will check all the time.
Now Zig is looking to try and get some kind of trade and finds it in a very favourable pick onto the Thermite. That's the Hard Breacher gone, and both Hard Breachers gone, and that's Fabian gone on the... Ooh, that's Fabian gone, but PSK makes an overly aggressive play and tries to go for a little bit more than he should have. Zig not going to find Eunice in his sights as the sights cover it, and unfortunately PSK throws that round.
Second one, you know what? It's border.
Yeah.
It's an even better map for Penta.
Yeah, well,
And that's map 1.
apparently.
Well, yeah, actually, very good point.
Now, I imagine Liquid, hopefully we're watching that match to see some opportunities they might have on that map, but you know, Penta, we're going to be thinking about those as well. How did we lose our map? We're going to shore those weaknesses.
So you have to remember, guys, that this LAN was played post-Lion nerf. When I talk about Lion, I'm discussing like the attacking favor meta was pre-Lion nerf, where Lion was ridiculously overpowered in combination with certain operators. He was definitely toned down. However, Lion is still exceptionally strong, and depending on how you want to use him, and depending on how it shows in the videos, well, you can just make your own assumptions as to how it is, and you need to see how much impact do these teams get through Lion and how much do they not. And you'll find in a lot of situations, when the Lion scan goes off, defenders die very, very quickly. The rest of the rounds typically are thrown elsewhere through different actions or different skirmishes that don't involve a Lion charge, because teams after the Lion nerf, they don't want to rely on the Lion charges anymore. I'm going to try and turn my fan on without falling off my chair. Success.
Instead of calling it Ocean's 11, I'll call it Fabian's 5.
Alright.
Because that was pretty much it. It was a complete robbery.
Can we swap him with George Gordon?
Some teams are just really good at abusing Lion and getting the most out of Lion that they possibly can. Now, Liquid, they didn't really use Lion they used it to varying successes to be more fair, but ultimately they didn't use him in a way to utilize him properly. So you can make Lion-based strategies where you learn Lion and Jackal, and you can run a bunch of fraggers around the Lion and Jackal combo, and you find people, you hunt them down, and you kill them. That's the combo. But unfortunately, the way that Liquid was playing it is they were trying to get something like that, but they were never able to find those Penta players singled out, because Penta are too smart for that. Penta aren't going to let that happen. Penta have been abused the entire season in Europe, where Lion had the highest play rate out of all of the regions, or at least it had close to the highest play rate in all of the regions. And a lot of teams ran Lion, these Lion hunting compositions. So Penta are very used to getting essentially shafted by Lion clearing. And obviously post Lion nerf he's not as strong, and teams still try and force it without properly making strategies built around it. Like, Lion is strong, but you can't just pick Lion and expect to win rounds. You now have to have a bit of strategy behind your Lion and reasoning as to why you're trying to make these Lion pushes work. At the end of the day, if you're just like, yeah, let's just push people with Lion charges, then you're probably not going to win. But if you actually go into custom games and you try and work things out, okay guys, let's simulate a solo roamer inside of the CEO and like the CEO to meeting in top floor. What would we do in this situation? Well, Eunice, you would probably push the janitor's closet, we'd repel 2 people on the windows, and we'd push a bunch of people in through the spiral stairs in main lobby. And we'd single this guy out with a Lion charge and a Jackal scan, and we'd fuck him. But unfortunately, Team Liquid didn't do that, and Penta did, and it very much showed in the difference of these rounds. That's why Penta advanced heavily in the earlier stages of this map, and that's why the game ended up as a 5-1 on the first map. Alright, let's move on to the next map, save ourselves a minute or so, moving into round 1. Nerve, thank you very much to the sub, dude. Moving on quickly. Border. Right, so what are Penta running? They're running a castle. That strikes me as an interesting one. Basically, you run a castle when you want to try and take control of a area of the map and make it so that Liquid has to use utility to clear it. Liquid having one soft breacher, but no reliable source of clearing castle barricades means that these castle barricades are going to be very impactful, or potentially have the potential to be impactful, as grenades are a little bit finicky on castle barricades. They don't always blow up the castle barricades, so there is that bullshit factor that Pengu might get a little bit favorable on the grenade disperse on the fragments, because that's how it blows up. If a certain number of fragments hit the castle barricade, it breaks. I think it's 3. I think the castle barricade run off of the regular barricade setup. This is things I've not tested, but it makes logical sense to me like that. But either way, Liquid running a Lion, Dokubi, Ying, pretty much all of their rounds. Dokubi becoming very much a meta in terms of roamer hunting. Obviously, default kill holes. Penta defending the downstairs bomb site is worth noting first. And that's probably the reason for the castle barricades. It allows them to take control of areas of the map and keep control of areas of the map without the enemy team getting them for free. It requires destruction, gadgets, utility basically out of Liquid to gain control, but that makes noise, and you see at castle barricade on the bathroom door, very common for teams to do that. Nitro goes out, very common place to play is on the corner where Zig is pushing towards. Very easy to pick someone out. See, if Zig was droning right there, he would have died. The smoke grenade comes out, and the Ying does too. Runs in with the shotgun, shotguns him down. But Kanto is ready for the double, and Pengu steals both. But in a competitive environment, like, you should be stealing kills if you have the opportunity to steal a kill, because you never know, Kanto may have died and he may have not been able to secure those kills, and it would have been a 1 for non-trade, but regardless, it goes for a 2 for 2 trade, as both Eunice and Kanto, not Kanto, beg pardon, Eunice and Goga and Pengu all go down, and on top of that, Kanto goes down through the floor, and Fabian's made an aggressive play up the main stairs, and there's no one here for him to see, as the rest of the team is all chilling outside of the northwest balcony, so Fabian has to make a bit of a flanking play. No flank drones on the side of Liquid. I don't think they're really they're not really in a position yet to set flank drones, so Fabian's going to be able to roam clear, and not roam clear, beg pardon, roam, but unfortunately Zig turns around just in time and catches a mouse, probably because he made too many footsteps trying to sprint across without getting ID'd. He saw the Ying, but he wanted to make a bit of a power play, try and get a 2 kill instead of just a single kill, but yeah, at the end of the day, he got unfortunate, got on missed timing, and died because of it. Now that round was pretty much decided by the entry fragging of Buck, ran in with the shotgun, but unfortunately died immediately as he got traded 2 for 1 or 2 for nothing basically. And everything kind of fell down as Liquid essentially just ran in through the door and traded people over and over. That's just how it went. That's just how things happen. Liquid won the gunfight, so there isn't really much to comment about that. Sexy Cake just gets the entry frag right here. Gets another one here as they play too aggressive, and then that's just how it is.
He is very, very aggressive on that. And I imagine going to be giving a lot of good intel for his team to make sure they're able to at least hold this for a while. But
now, where are Liquid defending? Liquid are defending. Can you lower the scoreboard, please? Is this top floor or downstairs? It's top floor, I think. Yeah, top floor. Okay, cool. So Liquid going to copy the same mirror window that Penta's probably going to do, place it on the main facing armory wall. That's becoming increasingly popular as the mirror window in the small closet facing the armory wall isn't as strong anymore. A lot of teams know how to deal with it. You can plant underneath the window. It doesn't put a lot of pressure onto the armory balcony, meaning people can just run up and just thermite the wall open. What's interesting here is they place a close mirror window instead of a distant mirror window on the fountain walls. Because of this tight mirror window here, it basically gives them a little bit more control of players running into the window, but at the cost of play space. So that makes the player that plays behind it a little bit more vulnerable to grenades. They will have Jaeger devices as far as we can see, and it does look like a player is primed to jump outside. And Kanto gets a wallbang. I'm not quite sure where he got. Oh, he got it from here. He just sprayed through and got the kill. Very fortunate, very lucky. But those kind of kills can sway around that his Jaeger off the board. So if he was trying to Jaeger juggle, then he's dead, so those gadgets may not get used. So we'll have to see if those Jaeger devices have been used accordingly throughout the map. Typically, you'd see one behind this mirror window that can Eunice. Oh no, they did put the mirror window inside of the closet. That is interesting. The mirror window inside of the closet hasn't really been used too much. It doesn't really do the same job it used to. As I said before, it gets countered quite a lot by people going below. It doesn't put a lot of pressure on the armory balcony, meaning that you can thermite things very simply. But it looks like Liquid aren't a fan of it. Maybe the Brazilian meta has not caught up with that yet. But here you go. You have Pengu solo pushing on the B window. That's basically going to provide a cross so players can't come between both sides of the map. Nesk is preemptively aiming towards the door in case there's a run-in. Notice how Goga decides to repel in from the far balcony instead of close. Sexy Cake makes a bit of a quick push onto Pengu and catches him out just there. This door being still barricaded is a good place to have barricade. It means you can maybe peek. That window's open, so I think the Twitch drone got it, or Pengu managed to shoot it. There is an angle you can wallbang through here that Kanto just explored from the B balcony to shoot that mirror window or a player behind it. Second grenade comes out, blows up just short. It would have killed PSK, but unfortunately PSK is saved by Kanto's bad throw, and the Nitro comes out, and that's Goga off the board. So now at this point they have mirror windows facing them on both sides, but this mirror window being open makes it the favorable side to push. At this point, Fabian needs to rotate and maybe come towards Eunice and Kanto, but instead Fabian's going to call for a rotate, which is called out on camera, and at this point you're kind of fucked. Drone comes out from Eunice and it gets killed immediately by Zig, and this just allows the entire roster of Liquid to rotate around and start to push this side. Eunice being underneath the mirror window solves absolutely nothing as there's an aggressive peek that comes out, and it leaves Kanto alone with basically 1 HP. He's very low. Fabian makes an entry pick here. This is very strong. And now this all comes down as to whether Zig can get a kill, but PSK saves Zig's back, and then Kanto has to make an aggressive play on Zig and dies because of it. Now that is favorable trading, but Liquid almost threw that round as they didn't trade the entry kills that they got. They got very fortunate as they almost threw that round. I think if Penta were a little bit more on point with their shots that round, they would have definitely stolen that round away. That was Liquid's round to lose and not Penta's round to win.
But I love the return. You want to throw stuff? Let's throw stuff.
And here's how Pengu died an aggressive play from Sexy Cake. When there's a player alone on that balcony, trying to trade yourself 1-for-1 or at least try and kill him or do something towards him is typically favorable, as that is a power position, that is a power play. Usually put like your Glaz, your Blackbeard there, but instead Penta opted for a Twitch. Pengu obviously held that angle previously as Blackbeard. Doesn't play very much Blackbeard these days, but you know, if he's got experience there, then so be it. But unfortunately, nothing to protect his face, no smoke grenades to hide his silhouette, and dies because of it. Now, this is interesting what Penta decides to do here. Expecting an office push, they opt to reinforce fully the office walls, and I think they're probably going to do a mirror window inside of the CCTV room. Yes, they are, because Kanto's reinforcing that wall. This defense strategy is very interesting, investing a lot of reinforcements to the walls inside of office, the 3 outer walls and not the inner walls or maybe the fountain walls. Makes this strategy interesting as Liquid now have to use thermite charges to get that wall open. No Hibana, so they can't really get rid of mirror windows very well. No Twitch, in fact, so no, these mirror windows are going to stay unless there's vertical play from Zig, but looking at where he's pushing from, it's not going to happen as Liquid seems to be enveloping the map and a drone gets thrown up onto the roof. That's going to go to the roof skylight on the office and check if there's any people hanging around in the office, which there is as Fabian. He's ready to try and get some picks on people making plays into the kitchen. And it's interesting that they put a Rook here and not a Doc. Obviously the Rook unable to revive himself if he gets down, but the interesting fact about Rook armor is it makes you unkillable by grenades. If you are grenade once, you are guaranteed to go down but not out. So no Doc to revive him, but there is players nearby that can run up to revive him, but I assume he's got one of Goga's ADSs, so he should be safe in the long run. He has a little bit of a safety net, but this office push is definitely coming at this point. Fabian's hearing a lot of stuff around him. Poorly thrown grenade. Oh, it's beg pardon. It was supposed to be a poorly thrown grenade, but they still get him. Cooked grenade goes out again, and that's Fabian going down. He had no Jaeger devices, and down he goes. That's interesting because typically that's not a very good place for you to throw your grenades. That's basically landing in the middle of the room, and if Fabian was tucked in close to his reinforcements in the call-out known as bunker, he would have been alive, but unfortunately not. Sexy Cake's going to keep an eye on that rotation hole as the smoke grenade goes out to block lines of sight. And Bullet has already made his way inside. Flashbangs go over, and that's Pengu seeing the bright lights, and the diffuser is going down on top of a lion scan, and that's very important as Goga goes down trying to make an aggressive play and stop this diffuser going down. Liquid makes an aggressive play to get this diffuser planted, and now it's down to Pengu and Eunice on site to make something happen as Kanto needs to skirt around the outsides and gets picks. It's 4 versus 2 now. It was 4 versus 3, with 2 players on Liquid being kind of low, but the diffuser plant's going out. Pengu's ready to trade that, and he gets the trade on immediately, and this diffuser's going to get defused. That was a very good way of countering a diffuser plant. Pengu being on top of that bookshelf means that it's a very uncommon line of sight to hold that window from. As the Dokubi jumps into the window, he's the only one close by to prevent a defuse. There's no one holding angles anywhere near the diffuser, so they're able to get that diffuser relatively free of charge. Some few bullets coming out from Pengu to kill Bullet as he jumps in through the window. But that was definitely a throw by Liquid. They didn't have a drone watching the diffuser. They didn't have anyone nearby apart from Bullet. They invested all of the players to run back to the balcony outside of the office and try and defend it from there, but it was too little too late as Penta had already infiltrated Archives, as Pengu was never knocked out of the Archives. He was there the entire round, and Eunice was able to run into Archives as well, and run into the corner, and defuse the diffuser, or destroy the diffuser, beg pardon, whilst no one noticed him doing it, which is the big pivotal point of that round, is how did Liquid let that happen? That was very poor play from Liquid.
I mean, I gotta give him a lot of credit. I know we keep joking about this, but him playing without bullets and fragging out that well, it's been impressive because we saw so much of him using that earlier, and it being such a linchpin, it started to make you think maybe he's too one-dimensional. Absolutely not. He's been playing fantastic.
Liquid not really running anything special, beg pardon, in terms of operators, nor is Penta. They're bringing a Sledge in favor of a Lion or Dokubi, which they've run in previous rounds. So this screams to me that we're not really looking for any kind of roam clear. Instead, we're looking for more destruction. And here is your destruction. A quick entry into the jail bomb site, or the jail room, beg pardon, not the bomb site. This is not customs. So this screams to me that Kanto is going to do a little bit of solo clearing, take it nice and slow, get control of customs and inspections, and that basically cuts off a lot of rotations out of the B bomb site and into the hallway by the main stairs. A common flank when teams love to push inside of the teller's room towards the bathroom side is people love to rotate through into the customs and inspections, but that's not going to happen as Ness gets a double kill. He catches Eunice out going to kill the camera. So that's a teammate sat on the camera. Hey, Ness, IQ's about to try and destroy the camera. Go peek him. And that's Nesk's superior aim, out-aiming, or killing Eunice straight off because he wasn't looking the right way. And Kanto out-aimed by Nesk as well. Puts them in a heavy advantage going into the round. There's 2 minutes left on the board, and all Liquid needs to do now is play slow and safe. That's a very easy way to win the round when it's like this, is that you just deny everything. It's a bit boring, but all you need to do is have discipline to win these kinds of rounds, because if Liquid start bleeding players in different locations of the map, then there's absolutely no way that they will win this round. But if Liquid play it safe, play it tight on site, and they give nothing, they peek nothing, they push nothing, and they bleed the timer, then they win. Because it's important to remember that time is on the defender's side until the diffuser is planted. Pengu finds the first kill on Sexy Cake inside of what I assume would be office. Can't quite see because of the spectator angle. Crossfire here, kind of, from Team Liquid. Zig and Nesk on both the B and A doors inside of the main hallway. And here is an aggressive push, and that's a huge misplay, as that is a second bled player. Now we're in a 3 versus 3, and as you can see, the tales of doomsday that I have been spreading are coming to life. Liquid are solo peeking and solo pushing things, and that is a very quick way to lose these kind of rounds where you have the man advantage. Now all Penta need to do is open lines of sight and use the final 30 seconds to isolate players and push them. Goga makes a silly play and pushes alone here. If he had a little bit more communication and pushed in with Fabian, they could have traded that, but Nesk manages to flank them out, as well as a kill coming out on sight from the mirror. And they almost threw that round. It is very prevalent that Liquid have aggression issues. They are very strong individual players, but sometimes that gets the better of them. You have to remember, guys, the fundamentals of Siege, that time is on your side if you're a defender. And when you have the man advantage, you don't need to peek. You don't need to push these players. All you got to do is hold your crossfires and be in positions where you are flexible. You see right here, Nesk, flexible position, because he's defending his anchor inside of the bathroom. Bullet with a quick flank onto Pengu. It gets called out, but it doesn't matter. Pengu would have been in a 1 versus 2 with 10 seconds left.
Nicely done.
It's very favorable, but the bullet did go for that 1 versus 1 against Pengu at the end, because it wastes a little bit more time. It chips away Pengu's health if he wasn't able to kill him, and ultimately, it won the round. Either way, moving on.
In CCTV, I would say absolutely cost Penta that round. They had so much maneuverability and play towards the end, but without the manpower, there was not really much of an execute they could pull. And now Penta.
Now we have Liquid up 3-1 against Penta. Here's this aggressive mirror window I was discussing earlier. It's very common to open up the walls inside of CCTV to give it a better line of sight. Either way, Penta opting to defend top floor, to defend downstairs, as this is very common. Castle Barricade goes on the beeper door because that crossfire that cancels the angle you can get from the break room all the way inside, and that cuts off both of the top floor rotations and top floor positions, as the players in archives will be segregated from the players towards the armory and main wall. Castle Barricade going on the waiting room wall, but it looks like Liquid don't give a shit because they're just going to push towards the site, and this is kind of common. This was a big thing that happened a few seasons ago. The Lion Scan catches out Fabian, and now they're on the site because Fabian was alone. It's a quick 2-for-2 trade though, as the diffuser was getting planted there. Kanto makes an aggressive play and tries to keep his momentum going, but dies because of it. Eunice has a fancy kill hole above the ceiling, and he's not going to potentially find any from that. As the hatch drop comes out and a player runs into the hallway and he gets called out my nest, but the question is, will he get things done? The answer is no. Pengu goes down, and now Eunice is alive, alone, in a 1 versus 3. He does have a chance to win this. He needs to get 3 separate 1 versus 1s, but unfortunately, he ain't getting anywhere. And now we move into 4-1.
They're depending too much on Castle to slow us down. They think we're going to fight that top floor. We don't want to deal with Junis up there guarding that wall. You know what?
I wonder who this crowd is cheering for.
Right, okay, so we're going to look at the replays right now, because unfortunately this is something we like to do. So this is the fancy angle I was talking about. It's a really good way to deny the plant spot, and what we call that plant spot Zyronic, because that's where Zyronic got a huge 3K that allowed us to go through the qualifications in Year 2 Season 1. But that's a very common plant spot for that bomb site, as it's covered to the rest of the server room, and it's very difficult to kill you. You can only get killed through that kill hole in the roof, and if a player holds a specific angle on the hatch, and I don't even think you can get him from the hatch. I haven't looked at that angle in a while, as most teams just use the kill hole Eunice used, but it's very strong, and I recommend that your team uses that hole that Penta made. It's very common. It's very strong, because with that hole, not only can you watch that diffuser plant spot, you can also watch the main door that leads into the middle hallway. So it's a very, very good hole to have opened.
But yeah, this is a good time on this map.
Very much so. Well, see Kanto Raketti and the team.
And things like that can sway the round. So I do encourage up-and-coming teams, if you want to try and get in more into this game, more competitive, like you want a competitive advantage or a competitive edge, then you gotta resort to shotgunning the fuck out of floors and bomb sites and finding every angle you can get. Because an angle that your team, your enemy does not know about is an advantage to your team.
Well, there is the joke, you know, Mirata Kavala. That's the
Free kills are always great.
He rode that right on in.
Mosey on down a border then. We'll see how this one pans out, as Liquid will be sending.
Okay, so are Penta running anything flashy? Well, immediately we can see that they swapped onto a Zofia. Now, Zofia, very strong. She does have 4 concussion grenades, 2 breach grenades, so that does make her a better Ashe, which is why Pengu's come off of the Ashe. However, what Zofia has in utility, she lacks in pure push power, because she's not a 3-speed. And being a 3-speed is a very big deal in Siege, which is why we saw 3-speeds get nerfed in the current TTS patch. They're now slower, and 1-speeds are now faster. 2-speeds remain roughly the same, and on top of that, running with your pistol out makes you move quicker, which is always a nice thing to have for Siege. It gives a little bit more of a tactical choice. Do I want to go fast as fuck, or do I want to be a little bit more defendable with my main rifle out? I don't know, I like that change. It's a good change for meepeY. We'll have to see how it fucks over people in the later seasons, as many Blackbeards are now just going to run around with the Deagles to get from A to B. Now, 1 minute's gone from the clock, and Penta have gotten control of East Stairs, and they have kind of control of the CCTV room. Obviously, this mirror window on the main armory wall makes things... Oh, it's not on the main armory wall. Beg pardon, it must be in the closet. I forgot that Liquid do this. This is so weird. This isn't really meta anymore. Regardless, Pengu's opened up the floor from main door, and he kills Nesk trying to bandit trick the wall. So that's why you take the Zofia, as he's able to do that from outside. The explosion destroys the bandit charge on the wall. Goga thermites the wall open. Pengu gets the kill onto Nesk, and that's bandit down, and that's the wall open. So now Penta have control of the front half of Armory. They have control of the break room, CCTV, and East Stairs. Now, one thing to note here is that no one really has Eunice's back, so they are vulnerable to a flank from this position, but I don't think anyone flanks him as no one's aware that it is a possibility. An interesting tidbit to know about Penta is that you'll see this a lot when you analyze their VODs, is that they typically have one or two specific angles not covered by flank holders. As an aggressive play comes from Fabian, but he doesn't manage to out-aim duel PSKs. He gets a headshot as the fucking Vector is a headshot machine. Pengu gets one, Counter gets one, but Zig trades in the middle of it for a 2-for-1 swing, and the diffuser gets planted as well. And now comes the point of, can they deny the flank? Well, Pengu finds one and Kanto finds another, and this is basically a quick shutdown from Penta. There isn't really much to analyze in this round. They got the wall open. They made a bit of an interesting play underneath. Pengu catching out Nesk underneath with a hole, gets the headshot on him, denies the bandit, and the wall gets opened. Then from that point on, Penta just trades the operators more favorably than Liquid does, and that's pretty much the general concept of Siege as it stands right now in its current meta. Going into the next meta with Maestro and Alibi, it becomes a lot more prevalent that trading is becoming the forefront, as the percentages of rounds won is a little bit more shaky now. I'm not quite sure where the meta is going to go. I've only had a couple of scrims on the new meta, but it is very interesting seeing 17,000 different active cameras on defense and the UI. If you guys have not seen the new UI on the TTS for cameras and drones, I highly recommend you give it a try, give it a look at. It's very interesting. It's kind of confusing when you first look at it, and it takes a little bit while to get used to, but it is rather interesting. Penta not running anything too interesting on the subject of interesting things in terms of their lineup. However, they do decide to reinforce the singular wall facing break room. It doesn't deny the angle fully, but does give you a little bit of a tougher angle. And this shield at the back here of Fountain is the anti-Ying shield. Basically, you hold the mirror window until you can't hold it no more. It's very typical to push a Ying through the office window into the radio room, or the radio corner, I should say, against the reinforcements, and just throw a shitload of Candelas into Fountain. If you sit behind that shield at the back of the room and tuck yourself into the corner, there's a good chance you're not going to get flashed, and you should be safe in most instances. It makes it much harder to trade you as well if they don't have a Ying, because if you can't get that mirror window open, you have to just rush players into Fountain and trade it maybe for 1-for-1 and Fountain control. But that may not happen, as players tend to play aggressively on the Archives door at the same time. Sexy Cake opens those windows specifically because it makes it much harder to lurk and roam across that balcony. Any player sneaking up from the east stairs is going to be cautious of that as they cross the opening. And it also does allow his drone to sit there. I think he might sit there and hold the flank. He repels on those windows so he can go up and look down into the waiting room. And also across to the long corridor. We call that room long on my team, as most teams do call it the long corridor. Long corridor and short corridor. And it looks like Liquid are potentially trying to secure control of the opening area of the main door. This allows them to Ash Breach through the floor, destroy the bandit charges, and give bandit a little bit of a tougher time defending this area, because now they need to jump inside, kill this guy, or get the wall open. And now Zig's going to make a risky play shooting through the floor here, because if someone was ready there, that's a very easy wallbang for Zig to hit, but it's also a very counter spray for a player inside of the half wall to spray down. So that is a risky play, Zig shooting through the wall instead of just meleeing it and peeking away and expecting to burst of bullets. But here come the flashbangs and the lion scan. And now Ness can do an aggressive play, but obviously no one's playing there. Eunice has retreated, and Kanto's going to hold the pixel pick, and a Nitro comes out. He whiffs the throw as it lands on the wall, but he's still going to make an aggressive push and gets one, but he gets greedy. Kanto gets too greedy here and he goes for the thermite, and that costs him his life. He could have gotten back and gotten into safety and just had a 1-for-none trade and given up the armory wall, but unfortunately, his greed gets the better of them because he has been having some pretty fucking good games. Now this is interesting placement from Fabian. This has been experimented many times before, but you sit on the server rack, you throw a nitro up, and you blow it up. But unfortunately, he doesn't get the lion. He doesn't get the nitros through the hole that he made, and he gets punished for it by Bullet pushing in. I think Bullet heard him dropping and pushed in afterwards, and calls for a lion scan. The Doka beam means he makes sound whilst he stood still, and it's very easy to, single him out. Now the linchpin for this round will be the fact that the mirror window is still alive. Eunice is still at the half wall, and Eunice has a nitro in hand. He hasn't just got it in his back pocket, he has it in hand. So that means that the zipping noise, the Velcro noise, is not going to be heard. He throws it out, down goes Lion, a big flick, and then down goes PSK. He trades himself 1 for 2, but Pengo trades him back because of this long angle, this coverage angle, basically what it is. And Eunice, like I said, the linchpin of the round, because if you don't clear out the half wall when you go for those kind of pushes, you tend to lose the round.
From taking it into overtime.
You know, you may call Kanto's push greedy, but what he did was pushed out on the one person who's going to be the counter to Junis. By doing that, traded his life for it and saved Junis.
So here's the lion scan push onto Fabian. That is essentially a free pick. Pengu hears the noise on his right and gets a quick flick. And here's that trade I was just discussing there. So Penta had some very good trades towards the later end of that round. Whiffy moments towards the beginning as they did trade themselves 1-to-1. That's Kanto misplaying. But either way, they pulled it back towards the later stages of the round. And they're mounting a bit of a comeback. So we'll have to see how this goes.
We're going to see a rush like we saw from Liquid onto the bottom. But you never know. If they read into it, they can go for it.
Are they crazy enough to do that? I don't think Penta is as efficient as Liquid is.
And that is the tee out of the way, and we still have another hour to go. Fantastic.
The operators to pull it off, though. So it could happen. Pengu already up to 10, getting a little jealous of Kanto.
Yeah, he's giving him a run for his money, that's for sure.
Well, either way, though, being down a point.
Alright, so Liquid opting to defend downstairs as their bomb site here instead of defending upstairs, which they've lost the previous couple of times they've played it. That's allowed Penta to mount a little bit of a minor comeback, but either way. Reinforcing Archives, pretty staple, blocks the line of sight from Office all the way in through to Armory, allows you to play inside of Archives, or at least for the beginning of the round. Now they're doing the aggressive mirror window that Penta tends to do, and this one is really good, especially if you open the lines of sight into the CCTV rooms. All you need to do is just sit next to the door and just shotgun the wall open. This Valkyrie camera out there is designed to give them information not only on the bomb site window, but also on the window in Armory, on sandwich window as most teams call it, or hamburger window if you're Magic. Penta's lineup remaining the same. They've had success with this so far, so they're going to stick with it. What's interesting here is Eunice drones himself in and pushes it solo, and he also tucks his drone into the corner there, which is very important. It makes it so if someone peeks down the long hallway, his drone doesn't die. He hasn't droned below immediately. He saved himself a little bit of time not droning below, but he's wasting that time by holding the angle himself. Now, Eunice could have potentially saved himself a bit of time just by quickly droning down here, but otherwise, he's still got Kanto to hold the angle for him now that Kanto's in position, and feeling that it's safe, he's going to rotate away. Now, this is one thing that Penta are very good at doing, is that they take a lot of risks in regards to player positioning. Penta aren't very good at expecting people being in weird positions, which is why they're not covering their flanks on the east stairs. A good nade comes out from Kanto, it doesn't go quite as far, but it does catch Bullet rotating, which is important. But yeah, the Penta flank, very vulnerable from east stairs from this specific attack, as the rest of the players are towards the CCTV area, but it looks like the Penta play... Wow, Fabian has found himself all the way here. But look here, no one's watching that, down below into this waiting area, so they are vulnerable to flank until a Fabian is deciding to take it, and I think this is Fabian realizing that his team is vulnerable from this angle. But it looks right now Penta's 100% focus on this attack is take control of Archives, then take control of Armory, pressure the bomb site from above, hunt for picks, and then they'll probably rotate down depending on where they get those picks. That's going to be very important in the upcoming few seconds of the round because the clock is ticking down and it's only 4 versus 5. Still round in favor of Liquid because the time is an additional player in this match. They have a player cemented inside of the bathroom. That's probably PSK on smoke. That means it's going to be basically impossible to get that player out without pushing into the main bomb site. Double barbed wire on the door here as well. Kanto expecting some kind of push. Gets smoked out and pushed. PSK uses the smoke grenade as a bit of a smoke screen, and all the PSK needs to do is pre-fire it into the hallway. But here's what Jonas did. Jonas pushed in deep and managed to get a double kill off of his merits as a player as lone. Nesk, last man standing. No trading comes out from the side of Penta. Side of Liquid, beg pardon. Quick flick, goodbye Pengu, but Fabian's there for the trade immediately. Now the story of that round right there is Eunice did Eunice things. He basically, I think he dropped from the hatch, killed one player as he dropped, 180'd and killed the player in the bathroom. That is what you call bad crossfires from Liquid. They weren't set up, they weren't ready for an aggressive push into the server and workshop bomb site. Fabian makes an aggressive drop shot onto Zig after Eunice makes his aggressive play, and because of that they get a 3-for-0 swing, and that allows them to get the diffuser plant down, and that's very important. That's the linchpin of that round, is that there were no trades from Liquid, and they lose the round because of it. Anyway, Liquid fortunate enough to get defense, well, unfortunate enough to get defense in the starting rounds, as they've lost their past 3 defenses on the trot. So, let's see how they go into this round. Now, they've opted to open up the entire armory wall and place their mirror window again inside of the small room. The armory wall being a little bit detrimental to their rounds, as they tend to sacrifice the bandit on that wall, but instead they've opted to go for an echo. Now, an echo is a strong operator in this position, especially when the wall is open like this. It adds an extra layer of, oh fuck, when you go to push this armory wall. Valkyrie camera on side as well, and that makes it very strong. And a shield as well coming out from Sexy Cake, and that's just give you a bit of a more cheeky angle. There's a pixel peek you can do between the left side of the shield that faces the main balcony, and as well as the mirror window facing there. It means you've got a lot of options when it comes to playing aggressively on the balcony. Note here how they've reinforced 2 of the 3 walls. That's to try and force players to soft breach a wall instead of hard breach, to give them an unfavorable angle into office. Well, at least Penta at this point, they've clawed it back from a 4-1 to 4-4, so they're doing pretty well in terms of a comeback, but of course we all know how this results. But you see, Penta aren't interested in conforming to the norms. Oh, goodbye. So that's a 2-for-1 trade with Thermite off the board. I think he does get the wall open at the start, so that's good. But right there, Zig had a camera outside. Zig jumps out on the camera, gets a double kill for it. Second camera outside manages to catch off Pengu, and that's a huge 3-for-1 trade swing in Liquid's favor. And that basically cements the round into, oh fuck, you're fucked. The reason why I say this is that Kanto is Ash. Kanto has 3 flashbangs and 2 breaches, but Fabian is Twitch. Fabian's Twitch drone can only do so much. The most he can hope to do at this point is remove Jaeger devices and maybe get some chip damage onto one player, but Twitch is not typically a good clutch operator because all she has is a good gun. She's a 2-2, so she can't make overly aggressive rush plays. She has to rely on a lot of aim duels to get the frags, but the only reason why Penta could potentially win this round is if Kanto goes big. Kanto has all of the clutch tools. He's got his flashbangs, his breaching rounds to get rid of barbed wire, he's a 3-speed, and he has arguably one of the best attacking guns on the game. So, what do Penta need to do to win the round? Well, first and foremost, they need to get 1 versus 1s. There's a 1 versus 1. First 1 versus 1 in their favor, second 1 versus 1 does not go in their favor. Headshot comes out, and it's not good enough. Sexy Cake with a long angle all the way through, catches mouth.
PSK as well, helping him out. Look at that close range, running
That's the unfortunate part about
Now, the reason why Twitch isn't an amazing clutch operator is because she doesn't have many tools in forcing 1v1s or using game mechanics to her advantage. The most you can do with a Twitch is zap someone, hope they turn around and shoot your drone, and then you push them.
They weren't even bothering with. And looks like
See, here as Zig jumps out, he jumps out aiming towards the eastern stairs, but he manages to catch Gogarov with a really impressive flick. And he finishes off Pengu in the background as well. Maybe it was Eunice. I couldn't quite see who it was.
You know what? Go for the one thing that they might not be thinking about because you haven't played it this entire series.
No, almost baiting them into being comfortable without having to fight it. You see Nesk and Sexy Cake doing some work. Bullet as well has really stepped up this map. And the other
Alright, so Liquid. They're opting this time to drop the Lion for Dokkaebi Ash Blitz. So this is the ultimate roam clear kind of. This is like the ultimate rushing roam clear combo. This isn't going to be. There's going to be no method behind the madness that comes out with the Blitz. The Blitz is a mindless pushing operator. It's very interesting to see how Brazilians use Blitz. They love to find players and use the Blitz as the drone, and they usually put a player behind it. So Blitz will see someone, I need a Dokkaebi phone call, ring, ring, motherfuckers, here comes the Blitz. Because that's how it tends to go from watching VODs of Latin Americans play. My memory is foggy as this match was a few weeks ago, so we'll have to see how they do it in this round. But as well as Blitz being a good roamer clear, Blitz is a very good brute force opening in a bomb site. You can use Blitz as a spear to your push. Now, obviously, one interesting thing 60K could do is if bench is cleared out on Armory, he can run up to the mirror window and just flash through it constantly, and the player behind the mirror window will be flashed over and over and over again, just because of the way that the flash works on the shield. Another interesting thing he could do is he could rush immediately into the Armory bomb site and try and go deep and see how far he can get. That's the risky one that relies on no crossfire from the archives, but if you see it as a possibility, it is a very strong thing to do. Nesk wants to try and put pressure onto the B bomb site, which is usually a favorable thing to do on most of these cases, but ultimately decides not to. I think this is a call-out coming from Liquid to try and... I think Liquid have seen something that they can take advantage of at this point. Yeah, Liquid have seen something towards Office that they really want to try and abuse, and I think they're going to use the Blitz to abuse it as much as possible. We'll have to see where things go. Interesting there that Zig shoots open the window and immediately turns away, because knowing from the previous round, I mean, literally the previous round, he jumped out and killed 2 players, and he wasn't expecting any kind of counter like that. Now, Liquid have slowed things down to a halt. I think they're just droning for information at this point as they want to see what's happening. Smoke grenade goes out. There's no glass, but there is a Blitz, which is an equally fearful opponent. Ooh, a good shot from PSK and manages to pick someone off. And here's the Blitz. And here's where the shield in front of you, the shield in front of Goga, does nothing. Jonas goes down, common position to play behind the bomb there, and that's Zig down. It's not a big deal. He's already gotten a big pick with his grenades. Eunice at this point is dead. He's going to drop the hatch, and he's going to be a non-factor for this round as Nesk gets another one down below. I think Nesk is roamer clearing, or is at least holding angles elsewhere. Pengu makes an aggressive play, but finds nothing with his aggressiveness there. He gets some shots traded. And Goga does manage to get one. Unfortunately, the player on the window, Bullet, he makes an overly aggressive play to jump in the window. He should have waited for Nesk in this situation to make it more of an aggressive push. And now Nesk is trapped in a bit of a crossfire between him and Goga. Both potato, and Pengu gets the kill. Right then and there, if Bullet had waited another extra 10 seconds, maybe less, they could have sandwiched Pengu out and killed him. Nesk obviously having a superior angle onto Pengu inside of the armory door to archives, the wall that faces towards the archives window was also opened a little bit. They definitely could have had a favorable gunfight onto Pengu in this position. Jumping in here was the wrong play, as fucking Dokkaebi does a dolphin dive through the window.
to the wall. He dropped down the hatch and only died after the round end.
Just chilling on the floor.
You can't even kill him when they're down.
But yeah, that was Liquid's round to lose, and they definitely threw it away right there. That one was a very unfortunate misplay from Liquid, and I think if the IGL of Liquid had a little bit more of a tactical mindset in that scenario, he could have called Nest to push the player and a Bullet to stay still and maybe try and hold some aggressive angles on the window facing Pengu. That was a winning condition from the round if they had managed to get Pengu out there, but either way, Penta did a very good job clawing that round back. They lost they lost a couple of players early, not a lot of players. They lost 2 players without getting too many favorable trades later on towards those final seconds. However, Penta pulled it out of the bank because Liquid just started having to push. They had no time left, so they made aggressive plays, and Penta just straight up punished them for it. Penta are very good at punishing your mistakes, and Liquid right now are very good at making mistakes in some of these rounds. Like, you should not have, it was 4-1 and now it's 5-5. Penta obviously made a very impressive comeback, but Liquid definitely threw a couple of these rounds.
Well, why would you put him on anything else going to be on Thermic? But interestingly, Pengu on Thatcher is an interesting choice, so hopefully he can help Junis get set up for those glass picks.
Interesting here that Liquid opt to open the entire wall inside of the vents room facing the server racks. This turns B into a bit of a kill box, but it also adds position of power on the window. The position of power on the window means that you can deny the server rack in the middle of the screen underneath the hatch. And which is a very common position to play, but you can get a very strong pixel peek onto the angle and deny positioning there. If you can get established on the window before a player is there, I guarantee you at some point in the round, a Liquid member will play on top of the server rack. But either way, Penta opting for a Lion Glass, and Kanto is inside customs and inspections in 20 seconds. They had a drone in there ready for him, and that allows him to get into here extremely quickly. Now Kanto has a lot of control very early on, and this is going to accelerate Penta's pushing power. With the Glass in the lineup, the 2 smoke grenades are very important. No alternate smoke grenade routes or resources. Lion is a flank holder, so nothing fancy, and it looks like it's just going to be a Lion push under the cover of smoke. Eunice is going to entry frag something. The Jaeger devices go out from Pengu, and this is to deny the Jaeger devices a bullet, so that these smoke grenades from Eunice are going to be extra powerful. Now the question here is, what does Eunice want to push? Does he want to push the bathroom hallway, or does he want to push directly on site? Right now, the favorable thing for him to do would be to push directly on site, because his smoke grenade would get counter-smoked if he pushed the bathroom. And that depends on how ballsy Eunice is deciding to play. A miniature play that they could do is rotate Pengu to Kanto, and then Kanto can nade the barbed wire at the same time the smoke grenade goes off and push inside the room. Now that would theoretically work if Bullet wasn't playing on the kill hole above. So you have Sexy Cake and Bullet holding both of the rotations upstairs, so this bathroom door and the main door are covered. Breaching charge goes out, and that allows the plant spot to go into Zyronic if they require it or they need it. And here comes the drones, because right now Fabian needs to find where people are. Fabian's going to make a quick aggressive push, because right now Fabian, all he knows is that there is a player inside of Archives and he gets the kill. He does not know that there is a player inside of Radio, and that's going to allow him to get the plant. And it's interesting that using Glass as a flank holder as Fabian gets surprised as a flurry of kills come out. And now Liquid does a quick flank. Pengu, expecting someone to be above him, doesn't finish off the mirror, which is going to cost him, and he gets shot from the side by PSK. Now Matt says Fabian threw this round, and I would disagree. Fabian had no idea there was someone there. What happened downstairs was more important. So they had a 3-player push on Liquid's side, and 3-player push resulted in 3 kills and very little trading, and that was the big coster in that round. Fabian being alive or dead doesn't matter, because if the entire team downstairs dies at the same time as Fabian does, then it wasn't Fabian's fault. It was his teammates' fault for dying in the ways that they did. They were holding angles, but they gave them up too soon to try and take post-plant positions. If they had held their angles for just a smidge longer, they would have potentially gotten more kills in the long run. Okay guys, we're going to take a quick break for the final map, so I'm just going to quickly fast forward past the Analyst desk, straight into the match.
That's the thing. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm going to take a
that
quick
exciting
break
music in the back.
when
You
we
know
get
what time it is?
there. Where is it?
Consulate time.
So it's
It is.
consulate.
This is what they're playing for, and a ton of cash as well. Let's see how this one pans out.
Okay. So right now the time is midnight, my local time. So guys, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Go use the bathroom. Go get a drink. Go get some food. Whatever you want to do now, guys, go do it. You got 5 minutes. I'm going to open up my McVitie's Pengu mini bites because I am getting a bit peckish, and I'm going to let you guys, you know, leave you to your own devices for 5 minutes. So if you want to talk to me in chat, I'm here in chat. I'm going to be snacking on these penguin biscuits. And yeah, what an interesting match we're having so far. Oh wow, they come in mini packets. Alright, okay, here's the joke. Here's the penguin joke. Why do penguins make great secret agents? Because they have the license to chill.
Hey, I have this thing.
Yo, Aljo, thanks for the resub, dude. Thank you, friend. Yeah, that joke was fucking terrible. Yeah, don't worry. This will be uploaded on YouTube. They are always uploaded on YouTube. Oh shit, these things are adorable. Yeah, don't worry, guys. If you've missed any of the rounds, this will be up on YouTube today or tomorrow. Most likely today, after it's done. And I'll make sure to post it on Twitter as well, so you know when it's gone live. What's your opinion on the fountain mirror that Liquid used? When you place the mirror window on the right wall facing the office door to the long corridor, it has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. You're playing much deeper in the room, so it's kind of harder to grenade you, but you're playing in such a small area of the room that it's easier to grenade you at the same time because you have nowhere to run to. It's easier to get a crossfire from archives to the office door if you play that mirror window that Liquid use, but it's harder to rotate between fountain and archives if you use that mirror window. It's got a lot of positives and negatives. The question is did Liquid use it properly? And for the final 5 rounds, no, they didn't. Yo, thanks, Grande. Two minutes, guys. And we'll get started again. Have I seen that window before? Yeah. I'm not seeing it used in Pro League very much. The other mirror window, the one that's closer towards the radio bit, the radio cubby, or the radio desk, is more commonly used as it's got some very big positives. And I think it is the favorable mirror window to use. But I'm sure Liquid has weighed up the cons and the pros, and that's just why they decided to use it. It's probably just the Brazilian meta thing. My team is in Pro League right now, Zesty Shoe. We qualified again this season. But I've been playing Siege professionally for nearly 2.5 years. Alright guys, 1 minute, we'll start. So now's your last chance to go get yourself a drink. Why do different regions have different metas? Because they tend to play with their own region more than they play against other teams. Out of 10 teams, we probably scrim one North American team. So, yeah. Can you confirm that Pro League is starting in 3 weeks? I wish I knew when Pro League was starting. Makes it easier to schedule. Alright guys, one final penguin joke and then we'll get the show underway. What's a penguin's favorite dance move? The Macarena. Oh, fuck off. That was terrible. Alright, let's go.
Of Penta's best map here, but we'll remind you that we said that about border, and look at how that turned out.
I tried not to say that after the roadmap. Learned my lesson there. Unfortunate.
Alright, here we go.
Did bring it back to a very, very close 6-5, so it was far from.
Alright, what are Penta doing?
Map. I would say they just.
Excuse me, sorry.
A little bit of a slow start. We'll
Right,
see how
so
they start here on console office though, up top floor.
mirror window facing into the bathroom. So this was first done by Vitality in the earlier seasons of Year 2.
As he heads down the stairs, that is pretty much where you're almost always going to be playing the Pulse.
Pulse goes into Archives because Pulse can immediately spot whether there's an Archives push coming out or not an Archives, an Office push coming out, beg pardon. So that's very important, the Pulse there, because he can immediately say that, hey, there's a push coming from this side of the map. And it looks like they've set up a mirror window inside of the kitchen as well, or at least it's there. He's not placed the window just yet, so I think they're waiting until they get confirmation that the push is going to come from here. The drone coming out typically does signal some kind of push coming from that direction, but it could be a bait, as it looks like to be for Team Liquid.
We've seen him doing so much damage in pretty much every single operator he gets to play. Liquid not bringing second.
Now Penta running, nice throw. Penta's running a Pulse below. So basically what role Pulse will take in most of these situations is he will have the clutch nitro role. So he'll be the one that sits underneath, he'll rotate underneath Piano very late into the round, and he'll throw a nitro up through the floor and kill the planter. He is basically the clutcher of the round. He is, I suppose, what you would consider insurance. Now they have Smoke playing on the yellow stairs, or the exit stairs as some team call it. It's a good place to Smoke to play because you can constantly smoke the yellow stairs out, and here comes the grenade, and Goga dies. So that's the reason why playing in that spot is bad. Goga probably doesn't have enough practice in Jaeger tricking, or Jaeger juggling, depending on how you want to call it, and dies because of it. Because immediately as soon as your Jaeger device starts to get pinged out with flashbangs, you need to begin to place the second ADS. Anyway, here comes the flashbangs, the Candela devices, but they haven't cleared Pengu, so Pengu just gets an immediate kill. This is why whenever you go for a B execute, you need to clear yellow stairs, or at least have yellow stairs control if these walls are Swiss cheesed in the way that they are. Because now Ying's going to run into this closet, and, I mean, Pengu's just picking up kills left and right. Fabian's rotated, so he can now start pulsing at the bottom of the stairs and start giving people away. But he gets pushed out, actually, by Nesk, who dropped below, and Lion's pushing there, too. And now, Penta and Liquid enter the sporadic phase of just getting picks. Pengu gets debated out. Nesk gets another kill. And despite not clearing out yellow stairs, Liquid makes this round work because Nesk picks up so many clutch frags in this round that it just works. Kanto has one speck of HP, and I think one bullet from most attacker guns kills him.
You saw the little handshake / fist bump there between Nesk and Sexy Cake because, well, they carried that round. Nesk just dominating. He should have been slaughtered.
Yeah, so Liquid shouldn't have won that round. In all senses of how this game is supposed to work, Liquid shouldn't win this round. Fabian should have stayed below. Fabian should have pulsed below. Pengu shouldn't have peaked that, but they did because they had to try and get the ball rolling because they started to lose a lot of players. Pengu had a position of power in that room, and it would have been very easy for Fabian to sit below and just pulse people out, and that would have allowed Pengu to make pivotal plays on that column.
I gotta give a lot of credit though to that early grenade from the Buck that execute on that killing.
We don't talk about that here, Velod. Thank you. So Liquid goes immediately to the basement. They're running a Doc and a Valkyrie and a Vigil. So this means that Nesk is most likely going to go for some long lines of sight. He's probably going to spawn peek or at least try and get some angles early in the round. Go for a quick pick. Doc is very good at that. He can heal himself. He can revive himself if he's injured. He has a multitude of uses and he can go pretty much anywhere he wants to spawn peek and do it successfully. And here you go, he's going to spawn peek yellow stairs to the gas station. Very common spawn peek. If you're confident with your aim, you can win this gunfight 9 times out of 10. Bullet obviously running a Vigil, so that's a roaming operator. He's going to probably dick around towards the admin office, or not admin. It's called like the open area office, I think, or the administration office. It's the admin office, whatever. He's going to be over there because that's a really good place for Vigil to be.
Wondering if this is worth it at this point. As he's about to spot him, there you go. Nicely done. He droned his own spawn peak.
And here we go. So Penta running a Thermite and a Hibana. So the reason why you run double hard breaches on this bomb site is because, or just on this map for the first round, because you need to work out where your defenders are going to defend. If they're in the basement, then you need a Thermite and a Hibana to get all of the hatches open to apply a maximum pressure. Well, Kanto found Nesk somewhere. I found them doing down banana.
The rivals do once again battle, and it is now advantage to Penta.
And here it looks like Liquid have opted for a double roam clear. So this is interesting. SexyK is going to throw a camera here, and that's going to allow him to see inside. But Fabian has spotted this and is now calling this out.
No, the pillar is hiding Fabian. What a sneaky.
Or maybe he didn't. Either way, what Liquid has done is they've rotated 2 people out of sight, and both players can act as a trade fragger to the other. So if there's a single flank holder on a drone or something, the flank holder will see the first person on the drone, and then he'll shoot the first person, and the second person gets the refrag, and then there's still a roamer in the map. And because there's a roamer in the map, you need to dedicate more people to flank holding. Bullet gets caught out inside of Visa, and Fabian makes an aggressive play and pays for it. He got distracted by the Valkyrie camera that SexyK threw, so I suppose that worked out as a 1-for-1 trade, Thatcher being down, but I think at this point Thatcher has made his, or has used his utility, beg pardon, which is very important. Now this is always perplexing to me. I'm never sure why people go behind the white van once the floor is open there. It's very easy to get a free pick on the white van if you know where the buckhole is, or if you know the cheeky angle like that Kanto did there. You can deny behind the white van and the side of white van with 1 or 2 specific buckholes. And that's very important to know. Long range shots from Pengu as he's got the ACOG, drops the hatch, and down goes another. As far as Consulate is concerned, there isn't really too much to analyze, as we all kind of know how the rest of this map rolls out. It was a very famous win by, spoiler alert, Team Liquid. As at this point, Fabian begins to run out of answers to Liquid's questions. So the role of an in-game leader in these kind of scenarios is that they need to lead their team through tough situations and answer the tough questions that the other teams can propose. Now, it is essentially a question and answer game, and whilst that does sound a little bit confusing, allow me to explain. So a question you could ask the other team is, what are you going to do about our roamers? And your response could be, I'm going to dedicate 1 player and 1 drone to hold my flank. And that's your answer. And then the other team asks you the question, I've just killed your roam holder. What are you going to do now? And that's where Penta start to short circuit, or Fabian more specifically in some of these rounds. They start to lose and bleed players quite dramatically coming into these rounds as well. You'll see here that Liquid just gets really good favorable trades in the vast majority of these rounds. Penta haven't really had a strong performance on Consulate in quite some time. A lot of the more recent performances have been closer, and they lost the last time they played it to Millennium. Now that's very interesting to know, at least in the Pro League, European Pro League. But arguably this is probably Millennium's strongest map, but it is certainly not Penta's strongest map anymore. At least not after today. And I think anyone who's saying, oh, Penta are amazing, or Consulate Penta or this or that, I think you're a little bit starstruck. If anything, this tournament showed that Penta are not, they're not invulnerable, they're not indestructible, they are mortal beings, so you should say.
Oh, nice bait. Did not work though. He went to go for the execute from the yellow stairs, and just the peaks.
Now Liquid have to try and get the bandit off of this wall, and that's kind of an annoying proposition because Eunice has more than one player covering. He has himself on this pixel peak underneath the car windows, and he has Pengu holding a pixel peak on the door, so anyone who steps out to cross gets tag teamed and dies. Now at this point, what you need to do is ying. You need to throw your candelas and throw your grenades and throw anything you can through this drone hole to deny as much as you possibly can. A cooked candela through this drone hole and a timed push would destroy the Penta lineup right now. But I don't think Liquid want to do that. Instead, Liquid make a very, very interesting play. So it is called out that they can do a rush to the B-bomb site, the A-bomb site, the kitchen. And this is one of the most clutch moves that an IGL has called in recent Pro League history. So under the cover of a Lion Charge, they buck the closet hatch and rush onto the A-bomb site because Pengu reveals himself and they know that there is a bandit on the bomb site and Eunice is flashed, goes down, Goga returns to site after dropping the hatch, doesn't look the right way, and that leaves Kanto and Fabian alone in a 1 versus 5. 1 versus 4, sorry, a 2 versus 5, 1 versus 4. Now, Bullet is trapped inside of Harry Potter. The Lion Charge does go out, but that's going to stand still Fabian for another 3 to 4 seconds, and of course he has to travel back to the bomb site and defuse. So right now Fabian's timer is on 30 seconds. He's probably looking actually towards 15 seconds. So in 15 seconds he has to kill 3 players. And he doesn't even manage one, unfortunately.
It's crazy how much time they spent trying to open that garage door. Once they were ready to do it, yeah, like, well, that's the thing, is that's the mind games right there. Once they did that, they know there's a thermite, they know that they're going to open that door, but they said, you know what, they're going to be thinking, we're going to be opening that door that whole time, so you know what we're going to do, we're going to shoot them all in the back. And that's exactly what Nesk did. I mean, it's ironic enough that the team kill was on Nesk. Someone else wanted
so that was a very good play. It worked perfectly. So these are the kind of things that when the calls are made, that, hey, we can do this specific thing, that everyone on the team is on the same page, because it takes a lot of trust in your teammates to just pull that out randomly when you have less than a minute left on the round. That players who are outside of the garage rotate around the main door and then straight down a hatch into the site. That requires a lot of trust in your team, trust in the person who made the call, and on top of that, it requires trust that you're not just going to get fucking melted when you step into that main lobby. Because we saw Fabian and Kanto both upstairs. The hatch was open inside of the meeting room down to the circle desk, the main lobby. If Fabian or Kanto were in different positions for that round, that play would have been vastly unsuccessful.
Exactly, because you pretty much always will see an IQ every round.
Which is funny because technically IQ didn't get any buffs. Just all of a sudden people started to see the utility of it.
So Penta right now, they're opting for a bit of a main lobby push. They don't have any fancy operator selection. This is looking something that you'd see straight out of like year 1, season 2. It's a very tried and tested lineup, very strong. It has primary focus on exothermic breaching and gadget denial, so that's just getting shit open, to put that in layman terms. Obviously this is denial of the Valkyrie cameras. I'm not quite sure whether he saw Sexy's K camera. There he does, he sees it all the way off to the top of the ramp.
so that Goga cannot
That's
be
very
sitting duck
important
out.
there. And now Goga can try and get this wall open, but that's going to be the tricky part. As actually, no, it's not going to be the tricky part. All they have to do is deal with the mirror window. And it's very interesting, this mirror window that Zig has placed. When the mirror window gets opened, it allows him a specific nitro hole from the side of White Van that'll kill a thermite that's trying to open the wall. That's the reason why the mirror window is there. It's tried and tested. I've seen it a bunch of times before.
As you just mentioned about the inside cameras being a lot
And it
more
makes
compressed
progressing
with a
on
map
that
like
wall
this,
difficult.
where there's
To
some
counter
situations
that,
are-
you need to
the
gain
last
control of the
couple
side of
players
White
saw
Van.
the
So
dual
what
open
Kanto
that
needs to
Penta
do here
not even
is book
worried
open
about
the
it.
floor by the
Penta
side
just
of White
let
Van,
Sexy King
and
down
that
up here.
denies
But
Zig
look
to
how
play
Penta
close
blocked
and
hatches.
with you abuse
All
that
three of that
nitro
button hatches
charge.
could be used on the execute, but a minute left to do so.
Kanto just continuing to open up the floorboard. A Sexy K from above has still not been fought. Now,
Look at
Pengu's waiting for him. If he wants to push in from one side or the other. Oh, what is going on? Zig will go down to the headshot.
So Zig tries to do the nitro trick, Eunice catches him out, Sexy Cake trades the Kanto, Kanto trades Sexy Cake, and Bullet trades Pengu. So it's a quick flick of trades that goes in nobody's favor. Goga gets the wall open, but the mirror window being alive traps Goga in a catch-22. He has the push, he's got the diffuser, but unfortunately,
This is getting close. Team Liquid,
he can't do it.
third round on the board.
So that mirror window being alive cost them a lot there. I think the trading really worked against Penta, as that yes, they got the wall open, but they lost a lot of their vertical control. With Goga still being outside and the other players being isolated on parts of the map, it allowed the roamers to take control of things like this. Sexy Kate drops, kills Kanto because Kanto has to try and make moves elsewhere. Player inside of the main lobby on the main lobby hatch has to make an aggressive play because to try and get a man advantage, look for a trade somewhere, gets taken down. Eunice has to try and make something happen and push down the stairs at the same time Goga does. Doesn't expect anyone by the drone hole, gets killed. Like I said previously, boys, Penta lost this map because Liquid constantly out-traded them, or Penta never answered the call to trade. Liquid got kills for free, unanswered, many a time, over and over. And you'll see as these last two rounds come out, Fabian is unable to provide his team with the answer to what Liquid are doing. Because in Penta's, as it looks to Penta right now, what they're doing isn't working.
But I'm starting to wonder if Penta might be considering using that other timeout soon here, the way things are going. A lot of defense being set up on this bathroom yet again. Honestly,
So they're doing the same strategy again, Penta, so this is what you would call an extended defense. That's where you invest reinforcements and gadgets heavily in one specific section of the map to deny area. Basically, you fortify it like it's a bomb site almost. And it's very common on basement defense for Consulate that teams do an extended defense into the bathroom because it allows you control of piano. And without the piano control, you can't get rid of the bandit who's doing the bandit trick on the garage wall. And because the bandit can do the bandit trick on the garage wall, you deny entry from the garage wall. So that means they need to make aggressive plays into the main lobby, top floor, and maybe the yellow stairs door that leads to the outside. But ultimately, attacking the bathroom head-on basically makes it a game of aim duels. But Liquid have opted instead to clear from admin across, so they're doing an east to west top floor clear, is what I would call to my team, an admin to CEO clear, which is where they'll clear as much as the top floor as they possibly can without losing as much time or as many players, and then they get vertical control of piano and the piano hallway. And ultimately, top of yellow stairs is very important. The Habana charges get shot off of the wall that's facing Goga, that's above the hatch. And now Liquid at this point are left with pretty much one only way of solving this problem, and that's finding something to push. So right now Liquid are droning. Look, you see Zig's drone and Nesk's drone, both trying to find as many players as possible. PSK's droning in as well. And it looks like Penta, for the most part, have given up bathroom, minus Goga. So the reason why Goga can stay in there as an Ella is he has the Grzmat mines, and that's going to allow him a huge advantage when people peek into him. But Nesk finds a pick onto Fabian inside of Harry Potter. Obviously, it's very common for your Pulse player to play inside of the Archives room until later on into the round, until it's necessary to rotate up. Pengu's getting flashed and shot as well. Nitro comes out, but Pengu dies before he can blow it up. And here comes the rush. Eunice's Nitro gets the kill. And now, like I said, Liquid begins to trade heavily in their own favor. Goga gets killed and there's no answer immediately. Now we're in a 2 versus 4 instead of a 3 versus 4, and the round gets reset again, and then 2 quick frags come out and there is no reset. There is nothing that can be done by Penta. They are trapped inside of their own retrospective locations. They cannot trade, they cannot crossfire, they are out of position and die because of it.
My goodness, if they're not using it at this point, they need to really have their heads in the game. This could be history in the making.
So as the chant comes out, one more round, we're going to watch one more round. So playing underneath the Harry Potter hatch to throw a Nitro up to main lobby is becoming a little bit more increasingly common on this bomb site. Goga makes maybe a bit of a too aggressive play, dropping the main hatch there. He may have had a little bit more success if he went down the banana staircase, or he rotated the Visa and pushed down the Visa stairs, or watched the kitchen door from the top of the Visa stairs. So Penta using the tactical timeout, obviously it's very important that they do that. This last round being very famous in recent history, as this is the famous Fabian face you're going to see, as unfortunately it's the moment when he realizes that he's in a 1 versus 4, I think it is, and that's just where things go downhill.
However, this could also be one of their weaker bomb sites. So this could be potentially
so obviously the tac tank comes out here. There's no animated faces on the Penta lineup. There's no animated hand gestures that you're seeing from Pengu earlier on in the game. Fabian's just still holding onto his mouse and keyboard. At this point, Penta are deflated. Their momentum is gone. And probably that timeout is... I can't really say whether it did them good or did them bad, but it definitely paused the game. It paused the momentum, and maybe that's what they needed, but ultimately it's all for naught. Liquid now opting to defend. I think this is main lobby. They're going to reinforce these 2 walls. Yeah, it's main lobby. So the reason why they reinforce those 2 walls means that you can put a player close to the windows inside of CEO. You see the 3rd reinforcement going on at the tiny wall and just next to the hatch there. That means you can play a player pretty much underneath the window. You can't get naded out for most parts. You can kind of get naded out from the roof, but it's kind of difficult. I don't know whether he has a Jaeger device, but Penta don't. Penta have 2 grenades on Eunice, beg pardon. Eunice is spawning outside of the front main lobby, so he's just trying to find these Valkyrie cameras, which is going to be very important. But they're ready for a spawn. They're ready to spawn peek at this point. Liquid have gotten a 4-1 lead, so that allows them to play a little bit more cheeky, a little bit more aggressive, go for more risks, you could say. And spawn peeking is a very good way to win these rounds later on. Penta are playing very slow, very patiently, very passive. And if you're playing like this, you're subject to moving through Valkyrie cameras slowly, which gives you more time to react on the information if you're a defender. Eunice at this point is spotted. They know where Eunice is, and if Liquid wanted to, they can set up a crossfire on him whilst he's playing in this location, peek him from 2 windows at the same time, and he dies. But Kanto goes down on entry. He tries to get inside. Eunice gets picked off by the spawn kill on the main door. The Lion Charge comes out to try and stabilize the round. That's very important. Pengu at this point feels he needs to make an aggressive play, as well as Goga does, and he goes down because of it. Eunice gets finished and finalized. Fabian is alone, and here's the player camera. The famous Fabian face. 1 versus 5. There's nothing you can do. Liquid played extremely aggressive on all of the map entrances, all of the doors, the windows, and they got all of the picks they needed. Because they had the room to sacrifice a round or 2. There they could play more aggressive, speed up the pace that Penta are not used to playing at. And because the pauses come out, everyone else's momentum is reset. So what a really good way to set the pace for the rest of the round is by, after this tactical pause, Team Liquid, they go big balls, cameras outside, boys on the windows, anyone that steps up to this building dies. And Team Liquid win the round because of that. So that was an exceptional final map from Team Liquid. They played it very well, but more so than anything,
could barely stand up
They
at this point.
out-traded Penta. And if you want to beat Penta, watch this VOD, analyze it like I have, but instead of commenting on everything like I have, keep an eye on the kill feed and just look at how many times Liquid gets a kill and Penta is unable to trade it on this last map. Either way, guys, that has been my analysis of Team Liquid versus PENTA Sports. Thank you very much for watching.